Let me see here. Lost Straitjackets. So they're an American band, I guess, using a Spanish or, I mean,
Well, then we have to
Mexican, but
go
Spanish
into basically what you're
participle,
saying
so-
is it's about, you said participle, right?
Yeah,
That you don't count the participle when you're doing it. So the Beatles is not under T, it's under B.
Yeah.
So you eliminate you eliminate. Though it's weird because I do put a perfect circle under A, but that's kind of different. Because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's,
I've suddenly
I can't
lost
think
all
of.
confidence that participle was the right word.
You're the English major, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Article. The article.
Article, yeah,
That's what.
article.
Not participle. The article. That's what I as
See,
soon
that's
as you
what threw me
repeated it back
off.
to me, I was like, I don't think that is right.
No.
Now we're gonna.
I wasn't
we're gonna
sure
sound
either,
even more
but
like idiots. Okay, so L or S?
I think because that's the other thing too. Because I got La Dispute as well, and I do have it under L. So I think that would go under L.
Okay, fair enough.
But
I
then I
think it
wondered,
would
like,
for me too because I use Lost Straitjacket instead of Los Lobos because LOS is not that far from LOB. You may be able to sneak it in and
nobody notices.
nobody notices one way or the other. When something that was clearly different. But I think technically my Los Lobos is under LOS and not
I think
LOB.
when it's a foreign language, I don't use the same rules as the.
Whatever.
So because
Dewey
yeah,
Decimal
law,
System,
yeah, because it's not. But then I wondered, how does that work in Spanish-speaking countries?
Mhm.
You know, do they have los the all? You know what I'm saying? All of that
and
stuff.
they put the Beatles under T.
Yeah, well, because they be La Beatles, so do they
Oh.
put it under La Beatles,
Yeah.
or do they put it under Beatles? And then after that, if you got La Guatemala or whatever, do you put it under G or do you put it under L?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of like these huge L selections in Spanish collections.
Yeah. 10,000 Maniacs. Are they a number? Do you have a
Number, and I put the numbers at the end.
And is it the numbers as they go higher, or numbers as if they were an alphabet? So it what's a band that starts with a number higher than 1?
Well, like 311.
311.
I got 311, Three Doors Down, 10,000 Maniacs.
So does 10,000 Maniacs come before 311
No, it's the last one.
because it's the highest number?
I think it's because it's the highest number.
So it's not 1 as if it were a word. 1, however
No.
many digits, and then 2,
It goes
however
up
many digits.
according to the number.
Okay. I have
So
mine
if they
under
were
T.
a million-
My controversially, I have no numbers. I treat it as if it is the word 10,000, and it is under TEN. Yeah, that's me. And I think that's all. I have a couple more super groups, I guess, that are like.
Well, I have like
traveling
VOCs. I just recently changed them.
And
It's
the
really-
controversy there is because they spell the like the with 2 E's.
Right. And so, the is just the with an extra E, really.
Yeah.
And so, it used in that context. Because I guess, it would be up to thee if you would want to, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you're not a that's the old fancy way of saying you.
Yeah.
Right? Or is that us?
That's
I don't know.
you. Yeah.
So yeah, you.
Thee and thou. Yeah.
Yeah, thee and thou. And so, but in that context, it's not you OCs, it's the OCs, but the OCs.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the is the, just with an E.
And so that may or may not be interesting. I don't know, but we were discussing the finer points. Everybody's got their opinion about how to organize their collection, and I just thought it would be fun to
No, because
quiz
and
on-
hopefully people write it in the comments like, "Oh, I do it this way," you know.
Yeah.
And I want to see the
Where do you put 10,000?
alphabetical by artist, you know, da 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 da. Because the weird thing is on Discogs, and it took me a little bit to figure out. Like, I just recently got that Funkadelic album,
Mm-hmm.
and so what it was is I was hearing about this record over and over on all these channels, Maggot Brains, Maggot Brains, Maggot Brains, and everybody's getting this album. So I think, okay, let me check out this thing. So I watched it on YouTube, and I thought it sounded pretty good, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's something worth getting. But then I heard the first album, and it was just like, no, this shit's fucking the bomb right here. This blows Maggot Brains out of the water. So I'm going to get the first one first.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look it up on Discogs, it looks like it's the second one. You know why it looks like it's the second one?
Because the two came out the same year, and it is
Alphabetically
later.
different. So you got to also remember
Yeah.
on there they go
Alphabetically.
alphabetically
So they
by
just-
year.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I looked at stuff and thought that was the first album, then realized, oh, they put out. So like I had to do that with like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that one right that time?
Yeah.
That figuring out what order their albums
Actually
were
came out in.
actually came out
Because
in.
they will put out 5 albums in a year.
In a
at
year,
times.
and they put out 2 this year,
Yeah.
and so
Or last year.
yeah, and so if I still get a chance to do my Vinyl Tag 2020, that's my oddball shelf buddies.
Okay, so one last one I just thought of then. You got Parliament Records, you got Funkadelic Records, you got Parliament Funkadelic Records. Where do they go?
That's right, because I first time I looked up Funkadelic, it came up Parliament Funkadelic.
Because they kind of combine forces.
Right, and then they become a
So
giant
if you-
funk guy. And
Yeah.
boop, 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 boop,
So if you have all 3,
I would try to get some way to put them together, like I did with the OCs. They became the OCs.
mm-hmm.
Get rid of the "the." Now they can all go under the O, and then all be in the correct order.
So would you put them under P? Because the combined one started with P?
Which one started first? I don't know. If Funkadelic was first, I would go with the F. But if Parliament started first, then I would go with Parliament, and I think those would be ones that I try to keep together. No, I don't know. That's a tough question.
That is tough.
Because I would have to have a Parliament Funkadelic album. But would that be a compilation? Like, did they actually make, like, records? See, that's what I don't know. I've just learned about these guys. So, anything that's Parliament Funkadelic, I don't know yet if it's a compilation between the two, or if this is the new album from Parliament Funkadelic.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But I guess
I
it
don't know
doesn't
that
make
much
sense.
about them as a unit, so it just...
I've only
it occurred
really
to
heard
me-
the first album, yeah.
It just occurred to me as you were talking. I'm like, ooh, that's one that could be tricky.
Right, but I think I would try to keep them all together. So then, I think Parliament started first, but I'm not positive. But if they did, then I would put them all under Parliament. But it would be Parliament, Funkadelic, and then Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
I don't
would
think
have to
I'd mix
on
them
it.
all in with each other.
I guess if I... Yeah. I'm not sure what I would do. That's
So-
an interesting question.
And so because ever since we saw that video, we've been kind of talking about that, about how how would you do this, how would you do that, and then their example was Dr. John,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a fake doctor, so it would go under Dr. John.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of other people who were like known more by nickname or whatever, but yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I have any right here. going? No. Like this was the one too that I have under ends. That is. I'm trying to think if it was. No, that's Moody Blues. Motorhead, Bomber. There it is. Here's one I'm trying to figure out. And somehow I got those two together. That's another fun thing is the outer sleeves. Bernstein conducts Nielsen.
Oh, this is it. Oh, it's okay.
New York Philharmonic. So in the end, I didn't know who Bernstein was. I don't know if this guy here, I don't know if this guy is Bernstein or Nielsen.
It's not Nielsen. Oh, Nielsen. I
Nielsen.
heard Nielsen when you were telling me about. I thought it was you were talking about Harry Nilsson.
No, it's Bernstein conducts Nielsen.
So yeah, I guess I don't know.
But
Who Nielsen
I was
is.
given this record, and it's not bad. It's halfway decent. So I don't really know. I guess I put it under N because it was New York and Nielsen,
and then
and
closed.
it still fits in there. So because really, is the conductor the performer
Yeah.
of
it's
it?
hard
You know
to
what I'm
say.
saying? But it's really the Philharmonic that's the New York Philharmonic that's the performer.
Mm-hmm.
So or performers. So I don't know. That's like I said, one of those ones where
It's just where you start. And so, if I had classical, I don't have a lot of classical. Which is to say, I have no classical.
is that no class and no testicles?
Yeah. Well, I have a little bit of class. But yeah, that they would be horrible and would necessitate, I think, another alphabet. I think if I had any kind of classical collection, I don't know that there's any way that I feel like I could stick them with any sort of rhythm into my general collection, because you kind of want to do it if it's a composer by the composer, but if it's not strictly the music of one composer, I don't know if you go to the orchestra name or the conductor name.
So like Beethoven I have under Bach, and Beethoven I have under the B's. Even though it's a different, I don't do it off the performer.
Yeah, these were not.
So really this should be under, well no, see, if so it's both because it falls after Nazareth and before Oceans of the Moon. So it still can fit there. So if I get a Ricky Nielsen album, then
Yeah.
it might get a little
Ricky
complicated.
Nielsen. Yeah, or No Effects.
Yeah. But I just got them on CD. But yeah, so it's. But I think in the end it should be whatever you can find it, because like I'm amazed, and there's a couple of people that admit, like doing the whack-a-mole contest, that however they get their records, that's just where they stick it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's in no order at all.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And I don't think I could do that either. And
Yes.
and I don't know if I would be at like somebody's house like that, and then like looking at their records, and that goes
Yeah.
more at this end.
Yeah, I'm somebody. I mean, to me, a cardinal sin is taking a disc out and putting a new disc in, and taking the disc you just took out and putting it in
yeah.
the case because
Yeah.
it's there and it's open. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no. That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And it's just wrong. It's morally wrong.
People that do that, we need to round them up.
But yeah, just that the convenience of thinking back in an open case is that's never ever something that I've done.
Did you ever have it like if you had your CDs that you would have like a shit ton in the car, I would always used to trip out when I'd go in somebody's car and their CDs are all beat to shit and they're all over the car, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh no, I just keep them all in my car.
Yeah, no, see, I never did that either. And I'm married, and so I'm not allowed to tell my wife she can't do that. But it makes me a little crazy when she does that. And cases get broken, you know? It's
Oh, I hate a broken case.
and the side pockets of the car that she keeps them in are curved, you know, and so this it's not a natural fit, and that in the car especially is when things just come out and go back into whatever case out of convenience.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, make you crazy.
So
If you're a certain
you
type of
live
person.
with one of those people.
But yeah, I was never so because I was a mix maker, so I would
Right.
I would have mix tapes and later mix CDs in the car all over the place. And since they were things that I put together, if the case got cracked, it didn't feel like there was any great sin in just chucking it and putting it in a new case. You know?
Right. Well, the one thing I do like about getting stuff on my phone is that it doesn't go into the car now, and I didn't have a choice because my new car doesn't even have a CD player. You know, we actually paid for our old car. We had to pay extra because it came standard with a cassette player,
Oh wow! And then you jumped.
and we jumped up. You know, we had to pay an extra couple $100 for a 6 CD player to be in it instead. And because I was like, no, I'm not going back to tapes. I'm listening to the CDs. But still, my CDs came out pretty good because I would only have like maybe 3 in that I would have for the week, and then take those out and put in another 3. But you know, or 6 actually is what it was. So I'd have 6 in the side console. When I got through all those, I would take all those out, but that got to be a bit of a chore. So then, like you made me one mix CD that always stayed in the car. So 5 and 6 were always those 2 CDs from that mix that you made. And so, but the new car doesn't even have a CD player. It only wants to, you can either do Apple Play or
Or Bluetooth
CarPlay or whatever they call
yeah.
it, or Bluetooth is what I like. Bluetooth because I
Yeah.
can keep the phone in my pocket and it's gonna play anyways. And so, one of the things that's why I digitize my music onto my phone so I don't use up data, and you know, so even my CDs, I don't have to take CDs in the car. That's one nice thing about now, and I do enjoy recording the record and getting it all sectioned out and setting it up. And so I get it that a lot of people probably would I'll just stream it, but it saves me what, $10 a month, and I'm not using data, and I'm listening to, I know I like every song that I'm gonna hear. I might even hear a song that I'm not that familiar with yet, you know. But if I do like a shuffle with I got almost 6,500 songs on my phone, and that's just so I could hit shuffle if I want, and it will, or like what I did last year was, you know what, I want to hear every song I got on here. So I just start at A and go to songs in iTunes, go to A, and just start from there and just continue on and on and on.
Yeah, I do iTunes Match, so I have available everything that's on my computer on my phone, but I actually have my playlists downloaded to my phone because you
Right.
can't always count on the streaming, the cloud. You know, if you're driving out in Utah and
Right. That's why I got
Nowhere.
6,000 songs loaded on the phone.
Yeah. So I do that with my playlist, which ends up being not 6,000 songs, but probably between 1,500 and 2,000 songs that are on the phone, and they're all curated, and I know that I'm gonna like them. And then just when I'm within normal range, I go ahead and stream. I do use the data, I guess.
Yeah,
Just to
my
say.
kids use up data like it's going out of style. So, and then what it makes it so that they can use the data they use, and say like it's closer to the end of the month or something, and I need to use maps to get to somewhere in LA, then I'm not. Now my maps is slowing down because I stream music, my wife streams music, the kids stream music, and so it's on the phone. We can go camping in the middle of nowhere, and I get to listen to my music still. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm just something about the cloud I just don't trust entirely, and through experience, it just sometimes it's not there, it's not available, and so yeah, I definitely keep a broad selection on my phone.
And if there's ever the apocalypse or whatever, might not be able to play your records or your CDs and all that kind of stuff. But if you can charge that phone, you still can listen to some fucking music.
There you go. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I may be pulling this out of my ass, but I think the overall library is something around 20 to 25,000 songs. So the 1,500 to 2,000 is not an insignificant percentage of the overall.
Right.
That's not bad. But I'm so committed to the digital. Every single song I have through the 90s, before I had, before the computers really had the hard drive space for them, I would have a very curated iTunes, where if I got something new, I would listen to it, just playing it through the CD player, 3 or 4 times. I would pick the 2 best songs, or if I was really floored by more of it, I would put more of it on. But if I was just trying to give everything a fair shake, I would pick 2 songs from it and download it to the computer, so that I wasn't using up all the memory in the computer.
Well, it's funny
music.
because our old computer, my iTunes library took up like 52%. No, it was more than that. It was like 70-something percent. Like it's almost three quarters of the hard drive space was my thing. And then we got the new computer, which had a terabyte thing on it. So I downloaded it all on there. It says, okay, it's on there. And it shows me a little graph. And it's like this sliver.
Yeah, so that was what I did through the 90s. But then I came to realize that even then I was consuming all my music through the computer. And I wasn't ever putting music on the stereo. And I thought, I'm never going to hear these songs if I don't have access to all of it on the computer. And so I made a huge project of importing everything that I owned. At that time, I got just a dedicated external hard drive to have memory to just put everything on it. And so I figured at least that gives it a shot at being heard. Where it quickly became obvious that things after that initial, I bought the CD, went through that process. I was never pulling those CDs back out again to say, let me give this one another shot. Because I buy, as we talked before, at a frequency of probably averaging more than a disc a week. There's always something new kind of coming in.
Right.
And so something that if it fell through the cracks, it just fell through the cracks. And I decided I didn't want that.
Now, do you find yourself buying more new music? Or do you're going back and getting music from either what you said, like a remastered bonus track,
version,
repackaged version, or
it's certainly not mostly
something that you didn't really listen to back in the day, or do you ever go back and do that? Like, God damn, I was around when, let's say, for argument's sake, that band was Duran Duran. I never listened to them, and now I listen to them, and they're not too bad, and so I'm gonna go back and get some of those stuff that I knew about but I didn't have, which is what I'm doing a lot.
But Duran Duran is actually one of those bands. I have the first 2 albums now, which I never did. I'd never bought a Duran Duran album except for Decade. I bought the best of when it came out on CD, which was probably 90, 1990 or so, just off the top of my head.
Mm.
But in part of the CDs becoming dirt cheap in relationship to vinyl, and even oftentimes cheaper than the streaming version of the album, the
Right,
iTunes version. They had remastered versions of first Duran Duran album in Rio at Barnes and Noble, and I thought, yeah, I'll pick that up.
There you
I
go.
got it for $4.99. Yeah, I'll do that.
No.
So now it is one of those bands that I knew about, had never bought them, had never been an active fan.
You ever discover like an old band that was around? And
Yeah,